Hello, and thank you for tuning in again to another episode of CivilianTacticalWeapons.com. I'm actually going to cover probably the number one, or if not at least the top three, number one question I get from my viewers. And since I've answered this so many times in emails, I figured I'd actually do a video. And that's comparing a Glock to a Walther. A lot of people ask for my first gun, what should I get? I've looked at these two guns, I really like these two, what's your thought on that? So that's what I'm actually covering. This one here, so this is my, I shouldn't say newest, but my newer Glock is a Glock 19. And this one here is a Walther P99 and a 40 cal. For the purpose of the discussion, because you can get the Walther in a 9 or a 40, and of course everyone knows you can get the Glock in just about every caliber known to mankind, I'm not going to cover comparing this particular 9mm to this particular 40. So from the standpoint of that, you can pretend this one's a 40 and this one's comparing to this 40, or we can pretend this is a 9 comparing to this 9. I'm not discussing caliber differences here, just the guns themselves, because you can get both in both calibers. So a couple things to note. The Glock, checking the chamber here, it's extremely easy to break down. So I pull the two tabs down, push that forward, pull the trigger. Basic breakdown, very easy. If you go to the Walther, checking the chamber, pulling the two tabs down, pulling the trigger. It's as equally easy to break down. Breakdown of these two guns is so identical, I don't even consider this discussion point. The components themselves, you can look down the top of the slides. The component designs are very similar. There's an equal amount of metal, plastic parts pretty much. The one benefit the Walther has going for it is the factory slide release on the Walther is superior to the factory slide release on the Glock. However, that being said, you can spend a whopping 20 bucks and get this extended slide release for the Glock, which I've done on all of my Glocks, and it's excellent. This slide release makes these two slide releases equivalent. So don't let this be the deciding factor for you, the slide release. You'll kind of understand what I mean. I haven't seen too many men have a problem with the factory slide release. It is a little more difficult than the one on the Walther. What I have noticed though is women who actually go and shoot the Glock, if they don't have this extended slide release, they sometimes have extreme difficulty trying to use the gun. Give you another benefit for the Walther. The back strap here on the Walther is actually fully adjustable. You can replace them with different back straps. The gun normally will come with a few of these, so that makes it a lot easier to put the gun in such a way that I can increase the length of this area here for my hand grip, so that I'm just having the tip of my finger touch the trigger. On the Glock, I've kind of accomplished a similar thing by getting something called a Hogue, H-O-G-U-E. It's probably the most universal one you buy out there. It's a rubber sleeve that goes over the back of it. Gives it a non-slip grip. I actually like the feel of the Hogues, and adds just a slight bit of width. It also creates these little finger holes, which I actually find a little better than the original Glock ones. And it feels very, very comfortable. Reassembling these guns, talking about simplicity. Very simple to reassemble. Go over here to the Walther. Equally as simple to reassemble. Now we're going to reverse this, and I'm going to tell you what I like more about the Glock. You may want to verify with the newer Walthers. My Walther's P99 is actually probably one of the original Walthers that came out, the P99s. It has the decocker on it, and the rail system on my Walther is a proprietary rail. You may want to check with the newer Walthers though. I think they may have actually started changing this, but I haven't actually looked at one carefully enough. I should have at the last gun show, since I was going to talk about this. But what happens is you have to have a proprietary Walther component go on here. So if I want to attach a light or a laser or something like that, I can't do it with the Walther. I have to have a proprietary one. The new one, like I said, you may want to check to see if the notch, instead of this being notched to the point that there's actually something blocking it on the front, when if it's open on the front, I can actually have a universal component slide in here. Like if you look on the front of my Glock, Glocks will accept everything. It's just a general universal rail that you can put on it. This tends to be, I won't say this is kind of a German thing, because Walther did it. H&K did it for years until recently. The new H&Ks I have now don't have the proprietary rail accept anything, which was an excellent change. So that being said, and that starts bringing me into this whole other discussion. Glocks have just thousands of things made for them, and so I'm gonna start explaining why I lean personally more towards Glocks than the Walthers. However, if we're talking about a second gun or a third gun, you're looking for something a little different, you may already have a Glock, I highly recommend you get one of these Walthers. They're excellent guns. But if we're talking, I'm only buying one gun, I need something for home defense, range time, that type of generic stuff, and you're not going to be in the market of buying a whole bunch of guns, you really should get a Glock. And really coming down to all the accessory parts. Anyone who's going to make anything for a gun, for a pistol, starts with the Glock. And then from Glock moves on to other things. You can even replace, in this internal component, you replace this lower, remember the spring I pulled out? You can actually replace that and have an internal laser. You can't do that on the Walther, not that I'm aware of. If someone knows of one that does it, I stand corrected, but I'm not aware of one currently. The #1 manufacturer does it, they make it for the Glocks. The other thing too is if we're talking about sights, third-party sights, Tritium sights, all that type of stuff, everyone makes something for a Glock because it's just the #1 handgun out there. Because of that, it's finding parts. Parts are extremely easy to find for a Glock. You may have an interesting time finding replacement parts for a Walther. They're out there, you can order them, you can get them online, very easy. But if my Glock broke right now, I could think within a 10-mile radius, I have at least 5 places I could go to get parts for this thing. I don't know if I can say the same thing about this Walther. The other thing here, also mentioned going along those same lines, is customer service from Glock is probably the best in the entire industry. If you're talking about a firearm manufacturer that understands customer service, it's Glock. Everyone else, I feel like I'm trying to call my credit card company and I'm getting rounded to some support center in India or whatever. Glock has excellent customer service. They'll bend over backwards to help you fix your problem for you. Replace your gun, do whatever they can to keep you as a happy customer. Glock goes the extra mile. I'm not saying Walther has bad customer service, I'm just saying nobody has the same customer service level as Glock. So if you are a first-time gun owner and you may have any concerns, maybe getting the wrong gun, whatever, or you can get something breaks or whatever you don't understand, Glock is really good for that. So if I'm picking as a first-time gun, and since this is the #1 question asked, these are actually the 2 guns that is most asked about, which kind of gives you also the standpoint of, well, there is a good gun, excellent gun, is just the number of comparisons I get between these 2 particular guns. I recommend you get the Glock as your first gun, based on the accessories, based on the customer service, reliability, the prevalence of parts, understanding. It's also extremely good for doing combat shooting. I find this a little easier for some reason, and I can't explain why, but you'll see that a lot of firearms instructors will tend to always have these Glocks. They're just a little easier for me to get on sight. That's about it. We're talking fractions of a second though. If you're not interested in combat shooting and stuff like that, there are no differences between these 2 guns when it comes to shooting. They're both highly accurate. But if we're talking about fractions of a second, which one's easier to get onto the target, my vote goes to Glock. So, hope you enjoyed the episode. Remember, if you have any questions, please email me at info@civiliantacticalweapons.com, and I hope to see you next week's episode.